The reduce method is a built-in method available on the array objects in JavaScript. It is used to reduce an array to a single value by applying a provided function to each element of the array. When you call the reduce method on an array, you pass a callback function as an argument, along with the optional initial value. The callback function takes two arguments, an accumulator and the current element of the array. The reduce method applies the callback function to each element of the array, accumulating the results into a single value. Here's an example. We have this array called numbers. It has numbers 1 to 5. Now we are going to call reduce method to the number that we already have, which is the array. Now we have a callback function and we have an initial value, which is optional. Now, when you do this, what's going to happen is we are going to have the accumulator. It's going to be the sum of the total current value. And this is the current element that we're checking inside the array, which is the numbers. Now, because you're having an initial value, which is 0, so the accumulator right now is going to have a value of 0. And the current value is going to be 1. So the first instance, the accumulator, because we are adding everything to the accumulator, the first one is going to be 0, which is the initial value. Then you're going to have 1, the current value, index 1. The element is 2. So 2 plus 1 is going to be 3. Then you're going to add the current value, which is 3, to the accumulator. Then you're going to move to the next index. This is going to be the current value. Then you're going to add it to the accumulator, which is the sum of these 3. Then it's going to move to the next index. This is going to be the current value. It's going to add it to the accumulator. Is going to be the sum of these 4. Now, once you do that, we are going to output a result. Now, when you're doing reduce, it's going to give us one single value. I've commented here an output of 15. So I'm going to save this. We are getting 15 because it's adding all the numbers. What happens if you're going to have the initial value to be 5? So this means the accumulator is going by default is going to have a value of 5 already in it. Now we are going to the current value, which is going to start from 1. So 1 plus the accumulator value, which is 5, is going to be 6. Then 6, we're going to move to the next index. So it's going to be 6 plus 2, which is going to be 8. Then the accumulator is going to be 8. The next current value is going to be 3. So 3 plus the previous value, then is going to jump to the next index, which is going to be 4 plus the previous accumulator. Then 5 plus the previous accumulator. So when you save this, we expect the number to be 20. Let's save and see. The number is 20 because we changed the initial value from 0 to 5. Great. Now, somebody would ask, because we said the initial value is going to be optional, so what happens if we don't have the initial value? So if you don't have the initial value, reduce takes the first element in the array to be the initial value by default. So that means the answer still is going to be 15, the way it was previously. So either we put a 0 or you leave it blank, so that if you're going to leave it blank, the initial value is going to be the first element in the array. Now, the reduce method can also be used to perform other types of aggregation or calculation on an array. Let's say, for instance, we don't want the sum. We want the product. We want to multiply the accumulator with the current value. So that means here we are going to change this one. I'm naming it that way. So this means this is not going to be our output. The reducer is going to multiply the accumulator with the current value in the array. So when you save this, it's going to be 120 because it's multiplying the accumulator and the current value. It is important to note that the reduce method does not modify the original array. It returns a single value that represents the result of the reduction. And that is how reduce works. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.